The situation in Chicago is becoming critical, and if the Bears want to keep their season alive, it's time to face the facts. They need to make a move for a quarterback. And yeah, it might sound drastic, especially with the team sitting at Cuatro Vittorias y Tres Derrotas. But when you look at the reality of the roster, particularly the cornerback position, it's hard to ignore the cracks that are starting to turn into full-blown gaps. Sunday's loss wasn't just about losing a game. It was a glaring reminder that this secondary is hanging on by a thread, and the front office has to act now if there's any serious playoff ambition. Let's be honest, the game against Tyler Huntley was embarrassing. When your defense lets a backup quarterback look like a Hall of Famer, there's something deeply wrong. Huntley was nearly perfect, throwing completions at will, hitting 17 of his 22 attempts and making it look easy. This wasn't just about missed assignments. This was about a lack of personnel. And when you look down the list of names missing from the secondary, it becomes painfully clear why things went south so quickly. Jalen Johnson is still MIA, and at this point, if we see him before December, it'll be a surprise. Kyler Gordon is out for at least 3 more games, and Tariq Stevenson, who already missed one, is banged up and questionable. Then you have Terrell Smith done for the year, and Zay Frazier, a guy they actually had hopes for as a backup, gone due to a personal issue. That's 5 cornerbacks, all expected to be on the 53-man roster, completely unavailable. It's not just bad luck. It's a nightmare scenario for any defensive coordinator. Ben Johnson confirmed after the game that Kyler's dealing with another soft tissue injury, which always means uncertainty. They placed him on injured reserve, so we know for sure he's out against Cincinnati, the Giants, and the Steelers. But there are whispers behind the scenes suggesting it could be closer to 6 to 8 weeks. That means December football at best. And that's a long way off when you're already rolling out guys who haven't even sniffed meaningful snaps this season. Just look at the trio that had to line up against Baltimore. Nan Wright, Jalen Jones, and Nick McLeod. Wright has grit, sure, but he's a backup for a reason. Jones hadn't played a single snap in the secondary all year. And McLeod, despite his effort, just isn't cut out to be a starter in this league. It's no wonder Huntley looked like prime Joe Montana out there. When guys are running wide open and your defense is playing catch-up from the opening drive, you're not going to win games, especially not against playoff-caliber teams. The bigger question is, what now? Are the Bears serious about competing this season? Because if they are, just hoping guys get healthy isn't a strategy. And while it's true the Bears are still above .500 and panic isn't the answer, realism has to kick in. If you line up that same secondary against the Bengals, you're in trouble. Unlike the Ravens, Cincinnati has elite receivers. We're talking about Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, a duo that can absolutely destroy a patchwork cornerback group. So, if the Bears want to be taken seriously, if they truly believe they can make a push for the postseason, then a trade is not just smart, it's necessary. Let's dive into some of the guys that could realistically be available and could immediately upgrade this secondary. First name to watch, Alani Taylor. He makes too much sense not to consider. He's in the final year of his rookie deal, which makes him a rental, but that's okay in this case. What makes him even more attractive is his versatility. He can line up on the outside or cover the slot, and he's done both effectively in his career. He played under Dennis Allen in New Orleans, so he's familiar with the type of defensive schemes the Bears like to run. That's key. You bring him in today, and he could start on Sunday. That's the level of plug-and-play potential he has. If Tariq can't go, Taylor immediately steps in as a starter on the outside. If Tariq is ready, you slide Taylor inside as your nickel corner. Either way, he brings value and stability to a group that is currently in survival mode. He's not a shutdown corner, but he doesn't need to be. The bar right now is just competence, someone who won't get completely torched every other play. Taylor fits that bill. Another name worth discussing is Rick Woolen. Now, this is a bit of a wild card. There were reports about a month ago that the Seahawks were open to trading him, and more recent chatter suggests he's not viewed as a long-term scheme fit under Mike Macdonald. So, if that's true, Seattle might be willing to deal him for the right price. He's still young, has flash talent, and has the kind of size and length teams covet on the outside. The knock? He hasn't played at the same level since his rookie year and is a bit reluctant in run support. but he's definitely more talented than what the Bears have on the field right now. Even if he doesn't become a long-term piece, he could give Chicago the depth it desperately needs. With some coaching and a change of scenery, maybe he finds his form again. At worst, he's a better option than what's currently available. And again, for a team dealing with this many injuries, that's enough of a reason to make the call. Then there's Roger McCreary, strictly a nickel corner, and that's fine. Kyler Gordon's absence leaves a huge hole inside, and McCreary, though limited physically with shorter arms, has shown he's willing to tackle and compete. The Titans have essentially put the for sale sign up on everyone not named Simmons or Ward, so he's definitely available. Normally, you'd hesitate to trade for a pure nickel, but in this scenario, where everyone is hurt and you're just trying to hold the dam together, it makes sense. And again, he wouldn't cost much, and he could give you a boost right now. You also have someone like Rasul Douglas, who brings more versatility. Historically an outside guy, but he's shown he can play the slot if needed. He's quietly had a solid year with the Dolphins and wouldn't break the bank financially or in terms of draft capital. The only catch is timing. Miami plays Thursday night, so it's unlikely they move him before then. But afterward, absolutely a guy worth targeting. And finally, Cam Taylor-Britt from Cincinnati. Now, this one is tricky purely because of timing. The Bears play the Bengals this week, and there's no way Cincinnati is going to trade him to a team they're about to face. But after the game, that could change, especially if Chicago wins and the Bengals fall to Trace Vittoria's EC Steroides. He's been in and out of the lineup, benched at times, so clearly Cincinnati is unsure about his future. That opens the door for a possible post-game trade. All these names have something in common. They're all short-term solutions. But that's the nature of the NFL. You adapt or die. The Bears don't need a Pro Bowl corner right now. They just need someone who can keep the opposing offense from converting third and long with ease. And if you can get that for a late-round pick, why not pull the trigger? There's another angle that has to be considered when talking about this Bears defense, and that's the long-term outlook versus the short-term urgency. In a perfect world, guys like Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon come back healthy and regain form, and Tariq Stevenson settles into his role. But the NFL doesn't operate in perfect scenarios. Injuries linger. Players come back and aren't quite the same. And if you're pinning your entire defensive strategy on guys who may not see the field until December, you're basically gambling your season away. That's why bringing in a cornerback now, even as a rental, is not only about survival, but about protecting the progress this team has made. Let's not forget, this is a 4-win team that has been competitive. They've shown flashes of what they could be. The offense has made strides, the coaching staff has settled in, and most importantly, the culture around the locker room feels different. There's belief in the building. But nothing kills momentum like a crumbling defense. And right now, the cornerback situation is the one thing dragging this team toward disaster. You can't continue to roll out practice squad guys and expect them to go toe-to-toe with elite receivers every week. That's how games get out of hand early, and that's how playoff dreams get erased. What makes this even more frustrating is that the next stretch of games features some of the best receiving talent in the league. We're not talking about mid-tier competition. We're talking about all-pro caliber matchups. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and then whoever the Giants decide to throw at you, followed by Pittsburgh's explosive young receivers. And the way things are shaping up, the Bears could very easily find themselves in must-win territory for those games. You don't want to be entering critical matchups with corners who were signed off the street days before kickoff. That's not just risky. That's irresponsible roster management. There's a misconception that adding a rental player at this stage of the season is a waste of draft capital. But that only applies if you're out of contention or have no hope of building off this season. The Bears are still alive. They have a winning record, a strong offensive identity forming, and a locker room that wants to compete. Making a deal doesn't signal desperation. It signals intent. It shows your team that you believe in them enough to give them a real shot. You cannot put a price tag on that kind of message. And the cost. Let's be real. None of these trades are going to require a top draft pick. Most of the corners available are on expiring contracts or no longer viewed as long-term pieces by their current teams. A sixth-rounder, maybe a conditional fifth, that's the type of compensation we're talking about. That's a small price to pay for stability in the secondary. And if the player you trade for ends up walking in free agency, you might even get a comp pick in return. It's the kind of low-risk, high-reward move that smart front offices make when they're trying to build something sustainable while still chasing wins. But it's not just about who you bring in. It's also about who you stop relying on. As hard as it is to say, players like Nick McLeod and Jalen Jones are simply not starter material. They've tried, they've hustled, but the tape doesn't lie. They're liabilities against even average quarterbacks. So imagine what happens when Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes steps onto the field. This league is ruthless. Teams will identify your weak spots and target them relentlessly. That's what we saw against Baltimore. And unless something changes, it's only going to get worse. Another angle to look at is free agency. The market isn't loaded, but there are still some names floating around that deserve a look. Stephon Gilmore, for example, hasn't been in the spotlight, but if he's been staying in shape, there's no harm in bringing him in for a workout. Same goes for Sonny Samuel Jr., depending on the results of his latest medical check after that neck surgery. It's late October now, and reports suggested mid-month was the target for clearance. No update yet, which isn't necessarily bad news. It just means things are still being evaluated. If there's any chance he's close to being game-ready, you at least have to make the call. Even names like James Bradbury, while clearly on the back end of their careers, bring more to the table than guys who were in the practice squad rotation last month. You're not looking for stars. You're looking for competence. A veteran who can give you reliable snaps, help keep the coverage clean, and avoid back-breaking blown assignments. That's the difference between keeping games competitive and watching them unravel before halftime. And let's not forget the psychology of all this. When your locker room sees management making a move, any move, it lights a fire. Players know that front offices don't always act quickly. But when they do, when they step in and add a key piece, even a temporary one, it tells the guys on that field that their effort hasn't gone unnoticed. It says, "We believe in this group. We believe you're good enough, and we're going to help you get there." That matters, especially for a team that has endured years of mediocrity and frustration. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In what could be one of the most talked about moves of the offseason, rumors are swirling around the NFL that the Chicago Bears are making a bold push to secure offensive tackle Christian Darrisaw. Sources close to the team suggest that talks have been heating up behind the scenes, and the Bears front office is reportedly very enthusiastic about the possibility of adding the young, athletic lineman to their roster. While no official announcement has been made, insiders hint that Darrisaw could be the missing piece Chicago has been seeking to stabilize its offensive line and provide quarterback Justin Fields with the protection he desperately needs. Darrisaw, known for his combination of strength, technique, and agility, has been a standout since entering the league. Analysts have long noted his ability to dominate in both pass protection and run blocking, making him one of the most coveted tackles available. The speculation that he might be heading to Chicago has already caused a stir among fans, who are envisioning a more dominant Bears offensive front next season. Social media has erupted with excitement, with fans debating how Darrisaw's presence could change the dynamics of the team's offense, possibly giving Fields more time in the pocket and opening lanes for the running game. The timing of this rumored move is also raising eyebrows. Chicago has been under pressure to make a splash in free agency, and securing a player of Darrisaw's caliber would send a strong message to the rest of the league. The Bears are serious about contending. While other teams are certainly circling, sources indicate that the Bears' combination of draft capital, cap space, and a compelling vision for the offense could give them a real edge in signing the talented tackle. Of course, until there is an official confirmation, everything remains speculative. Yet the buzz surrounding Christian Darrisaw in Chicago is undeniable. If this deal comes to fruition, it could mark a turning point for a franchise eager to return to playoff contention. For now, Bears fans can only watch, speculate, and hope that the whispers transform into headlines very soon. The NFL offseason is always full of surprises, but this potential acquisition is shaping up to be one of the most intriguing stories of the year. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.